What happens when the person you prayed with lied to you? When the one who said, I love you, became the one who wounded you? Betrayal doesn't just break your heart, it fractures your sense of safety, identity, and trust in yourself. On today's Girl Talk Mental Health, the therapist takeover, I have a special guest who's going to sit down with us and unpack the emotional, spiritual, and neurological aftermath of betrayal. And more importantly, some tips and tools about how to heal. So, welcome my special guest, Miss Sarah Police, to the stage.
Hi. I guess, how are y'all, even though they can't talk back?
Well, they can text back. That's how
Oh,
they,
okay, okay.
yeah.
Okay,
Once the
cool.
show air, they can respond,
Mhm.
interact that way or whatever. On when it's showing, they can live, respond.
Yeah, yeah. No,
So
that's all.
you're here for them. You're here.
Yeah, I am. I
You
am.
let them know who they're connecting with today.
Mhm, mhm. So, my name is Sarah Police. I am an LPC-S as well as an LCDC. And basically, I work with addiction, I work with trauma and grief, depression, anxiety, and bipolar borderline personality disorder as well. I also have a huge heart for working with couples, which is what we're talking about today on Valentine's. Yay. And a lot of couples that come and see me or just reach out for therapists are those that have been betrayed by their partner and they feel at a loss and they're just like, we need help. And so they come with this open heart, usually, and then sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't.
Right. Sometimes the heart is too open, right? And they don't have those
Mhm.
boundaries in place.
Mhm. Mhm.
So are you ready for this impactful conversation today?
Oh, I'm so ready. I've got coffee, which is necessity.
Right.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about the heartbreak and everything. So
Mhm.
why does betrayal feel different from regular heartbreak?
Yeah. So when I think about betrayal versus heartbreak, it's very much it's kind of like when you think about anxiety versus panic attacks. So heartbreak is the start of the emotions and the feelings, and then it reaches that betrayal. And betrayal is something that it shakes you to your core. It's the most intimate thing, and which is why it is a struggle to get over if, as we would want to quickly, but also it's one of those things that's such an intimate thing usually with couples especially because you have told that other person all your deep dark secrets
Mm-hmm.
and they've seen you in your most vulnerable states. And so when there is betrayal that happens, it's almost that extra layer of I showed myself to you, my true self,
Mm-hmm.
and you let me down.
Mm-hmm. So talk about that trauma part of that, the letting down and the betrayal. So how could that like transfer into betrayal trauma?
Yeah. So a lot of times it can be where maybe it's been a pattern in past relationships and so it kind of just keeps happening
Mm-hmm.
and that feeling of okay, I can't trust anyone. Like I can't let myself open up to anyone anymore. And that's kind of that trauma response of okay, I'm going to keep myself safe and I'm not going to open up until I feel I can be completely safe with you. And some people don't want to wait for that, which is really awful because it's like they're getting there. They're just trying to work through it. And then some people are like, I'll work through it with you. I'll help you work through this baggage piece. And so then that's where the safety can start to really happen and people are more likely to open up to their partner when there's that support of I know that you've been hurt, let me help.
Mm-hmm. And on the other flip side of that, a little bit too, is like when you getting into a new relationship, and it could be healthy, is the best relationship in the world, but that
Mhm.
previous betrayal from
Mhm.
previous relationships, and people can traumatize
Mhm.
you to where, you just easily triggered, and the person will be like,
Mhm.
what happened? What's going on? I just simply, whatever, it could be something simple.
Yeah.
And, the floodgates open.
Mhm. Well, and a lot of times when I work with clients and those come up, right? Because we are human and something has happened and it's like, "Oh, no, I'm in the same exact relationship." And I really work with them on, okay, is this a one-off that there was that trigger, or is there a pattern there? And
Mm,
also making sure you're talking with your partner of, "Hey, I know this is not something you necessarily knew about me," and maybe your partner did, but even if not, like, this is a trigger for me, and I don't love the word trigger, but, trigger for me, when this happens, it brings up XYZ.
mhm,
A healthy relationship, the partner will try to change that.
mhm.
And giving your partner grace in those moments too,
Yeah.
which is difficult because your your anxiety's high and you're trying to regulate all these emotions that have come up because of this one incident, that then that's how your perspective has changed. Oh, well, this partner is gonna be exactly the same, where they might not be.
Might not be. So you said that you don't like to use the word trigger, and maybe you have a different word that people can relate to. So what word do
Yeah,
you kind of
yeah.
use for that thing that kind of
So
precipitates
mhm.
certain
So I usually use the hot buttons, right?
happens?
Hot
Okay.
buttons. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's kind of same, but it's like we all have talked about pushing the buttons, right? So, like, hot buttons, because at
Okay.
the end of the day, like, it's a button that's pushed, whether we know it's a button that was there or not, like, it's a button.
Yeah, because triggers people is like that therapeutic term, and people,
Mhm.
cringe because it's so,
Yeah, it just
therapy
feels
type of
icky.
thing,
Yeah,
psychological, and they like, no, I'm not triggered,
yeah, yeah,
and they don't
yeah.
want to deal with it because they don't want that stigma
Mhm.
associated, with mental health and everything. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I ask, because I know some people, I mean, they need that user friendly terminology so that
yeah,
they can feel more
yeah,
at ease with
yeah.
certain elements of mental health.
Mhm. And I like how you asked that because normally what I'll do with my clients is I will say, "I don't really like the word triggered or triggers, so we're gonna talk hot buttons or hot
Mhm.
button." And a lot of times you see the relief on their face of like, "Okay, we don't have to discuss it in like a I am high anxiety feel and whatever that
Mhm.
comes across when you think about the word triggered or triggers."
Yeah, I'm gonna have to use that one day. The hot
It's a good
buttons.
one. It's a good one.
So why do you think people blame themselves after they're being betrayed?
Mhm. So, I think a lot of it is a lot of times it's an inward look of like, "Okay, well, what did I do wrong?" Almost that self-inventory, right? And it's like the what if game. What if I did this better? What if I did that better? And then that question I've heard every time is, "Why was I not enough in this relationship?" And it's a we just kinda talk through of, okay, like, those are definitely valid feelings to feel because ultimately that's our human side, like trying to fix it, trying to say, okay, well, if I would have done this or if I would have done that. And instead of looking at the relationship as a whole. And it's like, okay, well, let's look at the relationship as a whole and see maybe where some patterns were that we missed because in the early phases of a relationship, you've got the love goggles on, which is what I
Okay.
tell people, and you don't always see those little quirks, or you look past them because it's like, "Ah, I can deal with that," when
Yeah.
maybe it was a deal breaker.
The honeymoon phase.
Mhm. I heard someone say, and I use it all the time with people now because I love it, so you can totally steal it too, is the first 3 months in a relationship, you get the representative of that person.
Mm,
'Cause you wanna show your best self and all the good qualities that you have to this person, and then usually after those 3 months, sometimes a little longer, because people can keep up the charade, you get the comfortable self, And so you get all the nitty gritty stuff that is like, okay, do I want this relationship still? Or do I not want this relationship still?
Mm-hmm.
And also just kind of talking through that, like, if in the first 3 months or so, you're getting not a great vibe, as I like to say, like you're feeling like, I don't know about this. Maybe it's because they're showing you their true self early.
Mm-hmm.
And because you really like them, you're giving them more compassion and grace than you would normally. Um, or that's the best you're getting, which is awful. And it only gets worse from there.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that kind of aligns with that is that the warning signs of a do you use warning signs too? You have another
Oh,
word for that. Yeah.
yeah.
And toxic
I
relate
usually go like red flag, green flag.
red
Sometimes that's
flags, yeah, of toxic relationships is when people rush because like what you said,
Mhm.
they want to before they show that true side of themselves, which is really like what you said in that
Yeah.
3 month phase or sooner.
Mhm.
So when they rush and trying to get you under their grasp and
Mhm.
get you under their wing before you can find out who
Mhm.
they really are, that's a warning sign too.
Mhm.
But people think, oh,
Oh,
they
yeah.
love me, they want to rush and be with me, and they
Mhm.
want me
Mhm.
now. Like, no, that is a
Mhm.
warning sign.
Yeah, yeah. And to play the devil's advocate, sometimes they are truly just that intense of a person.
Hmm.
And just remembering that if it's that intense early on, it's going to stay that intense and not
Hmm.
necessarily in a good way.
And can you handle it too? Because
Yeah.
you get worn out. It's cute at the
Mhm.
beginning, but then if
Mhm.
it happens, that cycle happens over and over, it
Yeah.
can wear you out because now you can't take care of yourself. You can't focus on
Mhm.
work. You can't because you in
Mhm.
this real heavy relationship that requires all of your energy.
Mhm.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. And I think it's so hard, I think, for a lot of people early stages of a relationship, and not all people, right? But a lot of people to kind of bring yourself down from the happy early relationship, the honeymoon phase
mhm,
of the relationship to say, okay, is this someone that I could truly see long term? Or am I seeing those signs, those flags of things that I just need to run?
mhm. And they try to avoid that heartbreak that they know is
Mhm.
going to happen in that
Mhm.
betrayal and the shame, and it's a
Mhm.
vicious little cycle
Yeah,
going there.
yeah.
So, do you
And
think? Go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. I was just gonna say, and also something I've noticed when people have been betrayed in the past, um, they are quicker to run
Mhm,
rather than, okay, let's work through this and see if it's actually the same. And
mhm.
rightfully so, right? Like
Right.
you're scared you have just jumped into another same with just a different outward appearance. But maybe, maybe not.
And it's kind of like that fight or flight thing
Oh
too.
yeah.
Like, do I stay here and fight? And then if
Mhm.
those emotions build up, and you probably really will end up in a serious verbal or physical
Mhm.
fight, or do I
Mhm.
flight and leave so that I don't have to go through that abuse
Mhm.
anymore? That's a
Mhm.
protective barrier.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So, do you think that forgiveness is required for healing? Because a lot of people struggle with the forgiveness, like for real.
Uh-huh. So something I do early on is I ask my couples, or if I'm seeing an individual that's kind of going through it, like, can you trust your partner? Like, do you see yourself working on trusting your partner? Because ultimately, a lot of times that's what it boils down to. Like, can you or are you open to the idea of trusting your partner again?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and early on, they might be like, I don't know. Or they might say, I want to, but I don't know. Or some are truly like, I don't trust him. I'm never trusting him. And then that's a whole nother side of therapy. but,
Mm-hmm.
um, but the ones that aren't sure, the ones that still have that hope, I'm like, look, we can work with that. As long as there's hope, there is that peace. The forgiveness we start to talk about a little later because that's a hot button word too when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to betrayal because it very much is like I don't want to forgive this person. They don't deserve it and I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I also tell people is forgiveness is not for them, it's for you.
Right.
Yeah, it's so that you can find peace. But until you are ready to make that choice, because I set up forgiveness as it's a choice. You know, you're choosing to love someone, you're choosing to forgive. It can be a day-to-day choice, it can be a minute-to-minute choice. Sometimes
Mhm.
like, no, I forgave you. I forgave you. And but also helping them to see you don't have to feel pressured into forgiving someone. Like you
Mhm.
can take your time because you're grieving this process
Right.
from this person that you loved and cared about.
And especially if they hit one of your hot buttons in between that forgiveness
Mhm.
when you're trying to
Mhm.
forgive, and it kind of brings you back, you
Mhm.
know, bring
Mhm.
you back a little bit and take away
Mhm.
some of the growth and the healing that you've
Yeah. Yeah.
experienced.
It's kind of like when you at any age, when you go home for the holidays, you turn back into who you were as a kid a lot of times
Mhm.
because it's what it is. It's how you feel or how they treat you either way. And so it's almost same of getting pulled back in. And then it's like, oh yeah, I remember you did XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. And the other person's like, well, why can't you just forgive me?
Mhm.
And I think that's where it's such a hot button because the person that did the betraying wants that instant forgiveness. And the other person is like, I'm trying to work through this. But if you keep pressuring me, it's going to take longer and longer and longer.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, I think this is a great point for a commercial break, about a minute commercial break. But before we leave, I want the viewers to ponder on the great tips and tools that you've given the first half of the show. But I also want them to think about some of their moments of betrayal, even if it hasn't been in an intimate relationship, because this could even go to work relationships, friends, family, next door neighbor, whatever, any betrayal. But it's the month of love, so we trying to
Mhm.
focus on that. But think about any betrayal that you have experienced, so that you can think about the rest of the information she's going to give us for the second half of Girl Talk Mental Health. And then she's going to tell you how to connect with her. So if you need to connect with her to get more details and information about how she can work with you getting over your betrayal, your forgiveness, then stay tuned for the second half. But let's have a real quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Girl Talk Mental Health. Girl Talk Mental Health dares to go where others won't. We unpack the hard truths about mental health, dissect trending topics, and challenge the stereotypes and stigmas holding us back. From navigating the 6 dimensions of wellness to redefining social norms, this is more than a discussion. It's a revolution in how we care for our minds and souls. Ready for bold, honest conversations that spark change? Let's dive in. It's time for real talk with real impact.
All right, welcome back to the second half of Girl Talk Mental Health, the therapist takeover, where we have Miss Sarah Police. And if you missed that information she gave you at the beginning about heartbreak, betrayals, tips and tools that you can do to help you with forgiveness, go back and watch the replay. And so next she's going to give us some more practical steps. So give us some practical steps about how to rebuild emotional safety.
Gotcha. So a lot of times I'll give my clients book recommendations. And so some of the main ones that I really like to give them, it's called The Science of Trust by John Gottman. And also another one by him is What Makes Love Last. And then the last one that or actually I have two more, just kidding. Um, Feeling the Trauma of Infidelity by William Bunbury, I think is how you say his last name, hopefully. And Broken to Brave by Tammy Goose Tammy G.
Yeah, just Google the title, it'll come up.
Yeah. But I think it's so important. And I usually tell them like read these together and almost have like a book club, and talk about the different things that they're feeling and thinking. And then also something I have them do, usually for homework, but sometimes if there's a lot of discord, we do it in the session. Having a list that they both have for rules and boundaries of the relationship that they do individually, but then also they do together. Just to say, okay, what is something that will make you feel safe in this relationship? And a lot of times having those rules or boundaries really help, because it's not like a checklist, but it's almost that, like, if you can do these, it will make me feel better. And then also talking about the room for grace and compassion for your partner when maybe the rules are overstepped, depending on what that looks like of the overstep, right?
Right.
And just seeing, okay, so how did that feel for the rules to be overstepped for you? And on both sides, right? Because it's like, I want to see where the thought patterns are on both sides, because there's a reason you overstepped. And then how are you handling your partner's feelings and thoughts about the overstep too? Because that tells a lot as well.
It's like a little assessment, right? Especially
Mhm.
at the beginning, the middle, and the
Mhm.
end, so you can know the progress or lack of
Yeah.
progress, so you
Mhm.
can course correct or whatever you need to do before it's too late.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
So I bet you everybody is wanting to know this thing that I'm about to ask you. So
Okay.
how do they love again without
Ooh.
carrying fear into the next relationship and the next
Mhm.
relationship, messing up those
Mhm.
good relationships because of their past traumas?
Mhm. And shocking or not, I get that question a lot. Like when I see an individual that has just been through a divorce or just had a really nasty relationship in general. And so we talk about, okay, kind of what were the patterns throughout that relationship that maybe looking back, it's like, okay, I can see where this went wrong and where maybe I should have left earlier. And then also talking about, okay, once you get into a new relationship, if whether they are or aren't, like really just talking through, okay, what are those fears? Like what are those fears in having a new relationship? And almost like trying to like take out the weeds, right? Like take out the weeds so that you can put in the new potting soil or whatever and grow something beautiful.
Mhm.
Um, and so, and also validating those fears are going to possibly come up because the other person doesn't know what those hot buttons are for you. And
Mhm.
so probably they're going to push them on accident.
Yeah.
And then just kind of a little like script I give them is, hey, like, I know that you probably don't know this because maybe they haven't talked about it yet. Um, I when you did this, it brought up this from my past relationship. And I know it's not your fault, but it's there. And this is
Mhm.
how it made me feel. And so then opening up that communication. And then also it gives you an idea of how that partner responds to
Mhm.
maybe where it's like, okay, is this something that is going to probably be long term, or is this something that is similar to that past relationship?
And it's good to do it early in the relationship so that you can already know
Mhm.
how they respond before you get too
Yes.
deep into the relationship.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's good.
And
I love that analogy with the weeds and the new
mhm.
soil. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. One of my favorite quotes, and I use it a lot, is every plant knows this. It's only when you get crap thrown on you that you truly grow. Because
The fertilizer,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's good. Well,
Mhm,
Miss Sarah, we appreciate you gracing us with your knowledge and your information
mhm.
today. So tell the audience where they can connect with you, or if you have something going on where they can reach out to you.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I'm with PG Therapy. I have telehealth sessions, I have in-person sessions. And you can go on my website. It's www.pg-therapy.com. And I have my email on there, my phone number, so you can reach out either way, that way. I do have a really cool networking event for clinicians if you're in like the Houston area or even the Woodlands. It's a nature walk. And and so that is through Recovery Untamed. And so if you want to join, sign up for that through their website. They have a little QR code. And it'll be next Friday at 9 a.m. to noon.
All right. Do they have them on a regular basis?
So they do have them on a regular basis, but as far as the networking, like this is the first one and not the only one we're gonna have for sure.
Okay, perfect. Well, we sure appreciate you for being here today.
Yeah.
And I want people to know that this isn't just surface level advice. This is some deep work, right? And if you're wondering why betrayal, trauma hits differently than other heartbreak, then this episode was just for you. Go back and watch the replay, connect with Sarah, and most importantly, continue watching us on a weekly basis where you get more information, more tips and tools, and more impactful conversations with real life experiences. So thank you for tuning in to Girl Talk Mental Health. Thank you, Sarah. Y'all connect with her, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you for joining us for Girl Talk Mental Health. Remember, your mental health is your wealth. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to at Virginia Del Manning.